And a pleasant good late morning to you as we bring you lcpioneers.com live, our Tuesday through Friday show every single day at 11:30, presented by Pios Stream, an opportunity as everyone stays social distancing isolated away from Lewis and Clark's campus to keep you connected with everything Pioneers as we do this 4 days a week and have had some excellent interviews already this week and excited for another guest yet today. The idea student athletes, coaches, people from the Lewis and Clark community, and alumni featured for 20-minute conversations every single one of those days on facebook.com/lcpioneers and archived available lcpioneers.com/live. I am Ryan Goff. I am the play-by-play voice and director of athletic communications for Lewis and Clark. We are in Portland, Oregon, NCAA Division III institution competing in the Northwest Conference. 19 different teams competing across 13 different sports and against teams from Northwest Oregon and throughout the state of Washington. Invite you to get involved. LC Pioneers on Instagram and Twitter. You can let us know either things you want to know from our upcoming guests, or you can let us know maybe some people we need to connect with because today we are excited to bring in an alumnus of Lewis and Clark volleyball. Alicia Callejo-Black is going to join us. She is pursuing a medical degree at UC San Diego and a chance to talk to her not only about where she's at now, certainly focusing on healthcare workers right now because of all the heroism that that group of people is supplying to our country and the world. I want to get her perspective on that. And also just what it was like to be a Division III student athlete because we are continuing to celebrate D3 Week national initiative that's celebrated every April from the NCAA. And this is our final day. It's kind of gone by quickly, but commending our Student Athlete Advisory Committee what they've been able to do all week to try to supply the best experience possible for those who aren't on campus right now. Usually a home run on campus for sure. This year they've kind of taken it online through social media. Started on Monday discussing the reasons for Division Three, why you chose D3, and why you chose Lewis and Clark specifically. They translated those stories through video, through other aspects of social media, which was really neat to see. And then also on Tuesday, big thank you to all the coaches, athletic training staff, everyone who makes it possible for Lewis and Clark student athletes to do what they do best on the field and in the classroom. And then Wednesday, we got to see their hidden talents with Talent Day, posting those on the LC Pios SAC Instagram channel. That's LC Pios SAAC, the Student Athlete Advisory Committee channel on Instagram. Yesterday, all about diversity and inclusion and why that's important, how that's been a big part of your experience at Lewis and Clark, especially because student athletes make up such a great range of diversity and inclusion in the Lewis and Clark community. And then also champions gear today. I should have worn my champions gear. That's what I was missing. I wanted to go orange because I like wearing orange on Friday. It's something that you can usually do heading into the weekend when we have games. So I wore orange today. I should have worn my champions gear, but the Building Champions program is all about building champions in the classroom, competition, character, and community. Our student athletes do it so well. And every year, everyone from all of our teams get a piece of Champions gear, their T-shirt, a pullover, something like that, and then they get to sport it around the Portland, Oregon campus and really talk about what it means to be a Lewis and Clark student athlete. So, big thanks to our Student Athlete Advisory Committee for continuing to promote D3 Week, especially because we haven't been able to get together as we usually do on our Palatine Hill campus. Last thing I want to mention, lcpioneers.com/YLC, a chance to go to our virtual visit page, student athlete or otherwise. Maybe you're considering Lewis and Clark as your place for pursuing your undergraduate degree, maybe our graduate campus or law school. It's really neat because there's an opportunity to see the campus, even though likely not able to visit right now because of coronavirus. The admissions group, public communications at Lewis and Clark, everyone has done a nice job of creating this virtual visit page at lcpioneers.com/YLC. So definitely invite you to go there and check that out. But with that said, we welcome in our guest today. She's a class of 2014 Lewis and Clark alumnus from the volleyball program, now pursuing a medical degree at UC San Diego. We welcome in Alicia Callejo-Black to lcpioneers.com live. I appreciate taking the time to join us. How are you today?
Hi, Ryan. It's good to be here today. Thank you for inviting me.
Well, absolutely. It was interesting because you're really my first cold call, if you will, to the program because I recall you from my first year doing Pio Stream. In fact, when we first started Pio Stream, you were in your freshman year competing for Coach Lori Jepson in the volleyball program. And so
Yeah.
as I start typing in people to LinkedIn, especially in the healthcare community, that's how I found you. And I want to hear a lot about your experience as a Lewis and Clark student athlete transitioning into the medical field, a formal medical program at UC San Diego. Let's start with this. Being
Mm.
D3 week, why did you choose to go to a Division III institution, and why did you choose Lewis and Clark?
Absolutely, yes. So as far as why I wanted to play D3, I knew that I wanted to play in college. I knew that volleyball was going to be a big part of my life. I loved the camaraderie, I loved the teamwork, but I also knew that in the end, I wanted to have a career. Um, that being said, there are many people that come from other divisions and pursue their careers, but I knew that I wanted a more like well-rounded experience, the ability to pursue academic achievements as well as study abroad. So that's what sort of led me to D3. And then when I was looking at schools, a lot of them were within our division up in the Pacific Northwest, a couple down in California. I'm from San Francisco originally. And I just fell in love with Portland. I mean, it was one of those bizarre sunny days in fall, which we don't typically get. I think I got really lucky. I know we have a wonderful summer, but I just immediately fell in love with the program, with the teammates that were showing me around, and the city itself.
What is it, as you think about Portland, that really stands out to you, being some of the best aspects of the city and the way that the campus really complements the city? Because there's a lot of institutions that may be in high population areas, but you may be significantly outside downtown. That's not the case with Portland. I mean, it's a 15-minute bus ride away. What
Right.
is it about that access that you felt maybe benefited you or at least was really enjoyable?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that you sort of hit the nail on the head there is that it both feels removed and kind of this enclosed sacred space, but also such easy access to downtown. And then from there, the public transit system in Portland is amazing. So even freshman year, I was able, without a car, to be able to go to the east side, find restaurants and shopping and concerts out there. So that was something that was really beneficial to sort of be able to explore the city in addition to pursuing, academic interests on campus. And then if we needed to like come back and be centered within this gorgeous space, it really sort of had that enclosed feel that sort of kept the community in. So it's this nice balance of being able to go and explore, but come back and have that community, that surrounding space.
It's interesting too, you bring up the east side. I mean, the campus is minutes away from Selwood, which is one of my favorite places in Portland. I
Yes.
specifically have in my notes to book guests with someone who has a lot of experience, maybe even living in Selwood, because I hear the students enjoy that area so much. So it's not just downtown, but access
Yeah.
to the entire city. Now, you pursued uh, a health occupation. You're pursuing a health occupation still now in your third year of medical school. When you
Mm-hmm.
look at the menu of academic programs at Lewis and Clark, there's not specifically something that says health. So,
Mm-hmm.
how did you make sure that that was something you were able to do while pursuing your degree at Lewis and Clark?
Absolutely. This was a decision that I actually made sort of midway through, sort of around sophomore or junior year. I was transitioning majors from psychology, environmental studies to mainly psychology with the intent of doing pre-required classes. And what really helped me was my advisor, Dr. Todd Watson, who's actually a psychologist, associate professor at Lewis and Clark. He's, at least during my time there, I know things have changed as far as accessibility to pre-medical programs. He was sort of the go-to person for pursuing that pathway. And so he helped me structure my curriculum and schedule so that I'd be able to get the necessary requisite classes and then introduce me to or get me involved in various volunteering or research projects to sort of get me down that road.
And now it's an interesting time because recently announced, I mean, we're talking within the last week, week and a half, the faculty has approved a health studies minor, rather, health studies
Mm-hmm.
minor. And it's something that on the heels of also approving an entrepreneurial related minor, it's going
Mm-hmm.
to give some more formal credentials to the students who come to Lewis and Clark in a field like what you're talking about. And when I brought that to your attention, you had remarked like, who's leading this program? And you were pretty excited to hear who it was.
Yes, Dr. Jerusha Detweiler-Bedell is one of the best professors that I worked with. I took a clinical psychiatry course or psychology course with her my senior year, and it was a fantastically organized course. It really dove into the clinical side of things as well as how to approach different mental health disorders. And so when we were talking and you told me that she was the one who was organizing it, I mean, first of all, it made complete sense to me. And I think she has incredibly capable hands to make something really fantastic of this.
Alicia Callejo-Black joining us on lcpioneers.com live. We are excited to talk to you a little bit more about your career in medicine. I'm curious, the experience of being a student athlete and being part of a team, how does that translate well to the medical field and some of your experience so far in medical school?
Absolutely. Um, Being in the healthcare field and being in medicine is 100% team based. You're going to be interacting with your peers, your colleagues, with physicians who are ahead of you in their career, with nurses, with nutritionists, with physicians from other specialties. So being able to um, interact and work with people in a way that you can get things done efficiently and also make sure that you're really hearing from different team members holistically and focusing on the best care that we can provide for the patient. I think that playing volleyball helped prepare me for that. Understanding my role, understanding my colleague's role, and then having that trust to know that I will step up when I need to and know that I don't need to worry about what they're going to do. They're going to hold up their end too. It's kind of similar to like when you're playing on the court and you put a block up and you know that your defense is going to fill in the hole to pick up that pass. That's sort of how I equate it.
We've had a chance to talk quite a bit about the extensive experience of being a Division III student athlete. And as you talk about how volleyball helped you with those team aspects, one other thing that on the heels of our discussion about proximity, right, and how Lewis and Clark
Mm.
is so close to Portland, it's also close to Oregon Health and Science University. It's a place that you've spent a lot of time, even after leaving Palatine Hill, associated with. What is it about that specific institution, OHSU, that's made you want to stay involved for so long?
Absolutely. I had the opportunity to first work at OHSU through I think it was the Roger Science Program Summer Internship Scholarship, which is a really awesome program that allows undergrad students to work with researchers or whatnot through HSU. And immediately I thought, wow, this is an institution that has the right values, that really cares for the people that they're providing healthcare for and really cares about their employees. And so, even though I've just been a volunteer, both in um, clinical settings as well as in research, I've always felt really supported. I've always felt really inspired about their goals and their mission. So I felt really lucky that I was able to have an in through this summer internship program that Lewis and Clark provides, and then subsequently had the confidence to continue to say, hey, I want to be involved. Similar to you cold calling me, I felt like I cold called a pediatrician and I said, I'd really love to work in your clinic. And I had that confidence because of that sort of warm handover, warm handshake that had been created with this program.
And we'll be sure to, after we're done talking to Alicia, show some of the experience our current student athletes are having with that Rogers program, because I know that many student athletes have had a strong impact to their profession, or at least the path that they're going on because of that program. Catch
Mm.
us up. You're now a medical student, middle part of med school at UC San Diego. How did you land on that program, and what have been some of the neat aspects for you?
Absolutely. So I think part of what drew me to medicine was my interest in working with the pediatric population. I felt that looking at that developmental time period in a child's life is really fundamental, and I really was excited to be a part of that time, both on the behavioral side, but also the health side. And so I was looking at programs that had really strong pediatric programs. I'm from California, so I wanted to go back down there. And then I, similarly to OHSU, I loved the mission. I loved the passion. I loved how they talked about their patients and what they focused on down here at UC San Diego. So I think that was a really big driver for me. And then coming down and finally just sort of feeling that community. I mean, similarly to when I came to Lewis and Clark and I immediately felt that community on day one, I had a very similar experience with UC San Diego where it just felt like my people.
Alicia Callejo-Black joining us on lcpioneers.com live. We are out on 11:30 Tuesday through Friday, trying to keep you connected with student athletes, coaches, folks from the Lewis and Clark community, and alumni. And Alicia fits into that last category. Interesting time to be lucky to connect with you in the sense that we've had a lot of our teams put out on social media. Thank you, healthcare workers. We appreciate what you're doing. The health and also services industry and everything that really those two sectors are doing to keep us going. What has been your experience as a medical student and being someone in the field with the response to coronavirus and the pandemic?
Absolutely. It's been really interesting. So, right now I'm in my third year of medical school, which means that for the past year, I've been working in the hospital, working in the clinics. And so, still a medical trainee, but really close to feeling like I'm at that point that I can be working as a medical professional. And so, over the past month, as we have sort of learned more and learned how medical schools across the nation are sort of changing their requirements for medical students, and then eventually getting pulled from the hospitals and clinics, it was a little bit sad at first because we have this drive to want to help and to want to be present, and it almost felt like we were being benched, and we're just sitting there like, put me in, coach. I want to help. That was an analogy that one of my really close friends who also played a sport in college had sort of proposed and really resonated with me because I felt like that really epitomized what we were feeling. But then you sort of realize, well, that's it. We're trainees, we're here to learn, and so we developed other ways to sort of help remotely, and just sit back and say, okay, let's let the professionals do what they can do and support them any way possible.
Well, I
And
will.
really, yeah,
No, go ahead,
like
please.
grateful for what they've been doing. I think you said it before, but just like really, really impressed and really grateful for what healthcare workers in San Diego and across the nation have been doing.
Well, we certainly appreciate. I mean, a very formal thank you to you and everyone involved in that. The direct tree from me, my wife, and then my sister and brother-in-law, all are in the medical field in one way or the other, and I understand the value of the team aspect of that and how everyone's trying to fill roles and do the best they
Mm-hmm.
can. Because as our students and our staff have learned to work and learn remotely, it's the same kind of thing in your field, I imagine, just trying to
Mm-hmm.
adjust to a new time and especially going through it during the middle of medical school. I give you a tremendous amount of credit to share kind of the response and how everything at UCSD is handling it. Let's
Mm-hmm.
close with this. I mean, long time with Lewis and Clark as a student athlete. When you think about your competitive career, when you think about the team, what's the best
Mm-hmm.
story that came out of your time as a Pio?
I think one of the things, I mean, it's so hard to pick the best story because there were so many amazing moments. But I think one of the things that really stuck with me was that transition between my junior and senior year. It was a big transition for the program, for myself, and for my teammates. I actually tore my ACL after my junior year, after a pretty hard season. And almost immediately was like, this is the moment that we need to come back and we need to work for this together. And so I told my coach and my teammates that I was going to come back for my senior year. And it was really amazing to see, both with a new coach and a new kind of paradigm that we were trying to establish and grow, how we came together and how we sort of tried to set a different precedent. And so we were much more engaged, we were much more supportive. The games were going to five every time, because we really wanted to win it. And so I think the thing that sticks out to me is just that general feel of knowing that, towards the end of my senior year, that we were just setting something in motion, and just really excited to see how the team has been doing and continues to grow these past couple of seasons.
Well, I talked to Coach Jepson about you and said I was going to have you on the show, and she said that you were a constant hilarious, kept people laughing type of person for that program. I don't know if you wanted to bring in the story of forgetting the shoes, because she told me that that was something that she remembered from your time.
Oh my God, I forgot about that entirely. I did forget my shoes. I can't remember what year that was, if that was sophomore or freshman year. Did she tell you how that ended? God, it's so long ago.
It is great. I honestly don't know. I just think it was great that it's that here's what I like about that story is one thing about the Division 3 experience too is there's not an equipment manager on every team and all of these things. So those things
No.
happen. I can't even remember how many times I've gone to a broadcast and there's
Hmm.
that one piece that you swore was in the box, and then you go to do the game and it wasn't
Yeah.
there. She was
Yeah.
telling me about that story, but mostly just how great of a presence you were on that team, and Lori
Hmm.
was one of my best supporters starting out Pios stream when we brought in multiple cameras and we had play by play for a lot of sports and things. So to your
Fantastic.
freshman class and certainly her as a coach, I really am appreciative. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Best of luck the rest of the way in med school. What's the ultimate goal out of med school? Do you have a sector or a field that you expect to go to?
Yeah, so I'm interested in pediatrics. I want to work in pediatric primary care. And yeah, just excited to actually potentially come back to OHSU for residency. We'll see.
Yeah, we'd love to have you. Dornbecker is a children's hospital up here. I've had some personal experience with that with my daughter. So, best of
Mhm.
luck. We really appreciate taking the time to talk to us today.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me again.
Alicia Callejo-Black joining us on lcpioneers.com live. Really fun to talk to her about her experience as a Lewis and Clark student athlete and also being on the front lines with healthcare and everything that that group is doing to help keep us as good as we can be during this time of coronavirus. Again, a big thank you from everyone in the athletics department, the Division of Student Life, the Lewis and Clark College community for helping keep us safe. So if you miss any of her interview or any of our interviews at all, you can go to lcpioneers.com/live. That'll take you to our Facebook page and you can see all of those. Also, on YouTube, youtube.com/lcpios. We'll continue to post them up there and then also make them available lcpioneers.com. You can go to a sports page and be able to find those pretty easily, including our latest interview, which will be with Alicia. We'll post that later today on the front page of lcpioneers.com. So a good chance to tell you who we have next week. Again, Tuesday through Friday, 11:30 a.m. We are live on Facebook. We'll bring in Kess Moulton, who is in her sophomore season with Lewis and Clark women's rowing, get a feel for everything that that team has experienced since she joined last year. She's been phenomenal. I mean, she was certainly a contender for the Lewis and Clark Rookie of the Year on a women's team as a freshman because she was putting up tremendous erg time. She's had a significant impact on the competitive nature for that team. And then also a team leader too throughout the campus community. We'll talk to her about her experience at Lewis and Clark, especially I believe coming from the East Coast of Vermont, I want to say. So catch up with her and see how things are going for Kess. Aaron Campbell, who is the head track and field coach for Lewis and Clark, he will join us as well on Wednesday. We'll talk to him about his second year and first as the permanent head coach of the program. Jason Luno is a former Lewis and Clark men's basketball student athlete. He's now an assistant coach for Lake Oswego's pretty high caliber boys basketball program. Lake Oswego has as far as prep sports are concerned in the state of Oregon, has definitely been a contender in all sorts of sports. So he's in a pretty good place to continue to coach and be involved in that game. And then Angela Gins from the Inclusion and Multicultural Department for Lewis and Clark, the IME group, Multicultural Engagement, will join us on Friday, a week from today. And the reason to have her on is again, this show is all about helping you understand what our current student athletes are experiencing at Lewis and Clark, how our coaches are helping them, but then bringing people in from the Lewis and Clark community because on a campus of just over 2,000 undergraduate students, I mean, you get a lot of involvement from everyone, and what they are doing in inclusion and multicultural engagement can't be overstated. I mean, it's a tremendous addition, a tremendous group for our campus and for our students. So I want to have her on to get a better understanding of the resources that are available to our students because of her department. Just like we had Rocky Campbell in the Career Center. It was interesting talking to Maddie Lee probably 5 or 6 shows ago, but she is a former softball student athlete who now is the beat writer for the Oklahoma City Thunder at the Oklahoma newspaper. And she discussed the Career Center as being invaluable when she was there, class of 2015, and even I mean, I think it's evolved into something even greater since 2015. So over the last 5 years, Rocky and his staff have done a tremendous job, I think, improving, if not building on a foundation there to make that resource even that much better. So it's just interesting to hear about that. And then when you look at IME, how valuable that's been to us as well. So until we talk to you on Tuesday at 11:30 for more lcpioneers.com live, we'll hopefully have these interviews posted and available to watch on demand. Be sure to check out too LC Pios VB on social media, because we have our coffee chat with head coach Emily Hayes Tuesday and Thursday at 12 o'clock noon. Today at 4 o'clock, head cross country coach Matthew Barreau goes live on their Instagram. That's LC Pios XCTF, cross country and track and field. They talk about different conversations they're having with their team and high caliber athletes in the track and field and cross country world. So it's really neat to hear him and his assistant coach kind of discuss that world and what they're learning. So be sure to check that out later today at 4 o'clock on LC Pios XCTF on Instagram. So until we see you on Tuesday, I'm Ryan Goff. Thanks for having fun with us. Big thanks to Alicia for joining us, and we will see you again for more conversations with student athletes, coaches, the community, and alumni on lcpioneers.com live. Until then, goodbye, everybody.
My favorite spot on campus is like right outside the Dovecote, little benches, and there's flowers growing there, and you can get a little coffee at the Dovecote and sit there.
My favorite spot on campus is definitely the weight room. I get that everybody loves like the gardens or the manor house, but our facilities for athletics here are actually amazing too, and the weight room is definitely my favorite spot.
My favorite spot on campus would either be the glade outside of the athletic facilities or South Campus.
What is my favorite spot on campus? I really like the back porch of the manor house. It looks out on Mount Hood, and on a clear day, it's super beautiful just to sit around with friends.
I'm Casey Jones, and I teach a range of classes: general chemistry, organic chemistry, and also some advanced classes. And I have a research lab that currently I have 4 students working with me as part of the Rogers program. The summer experience is a way to get really deeply involved in the science that is here and be able to start to define what might be what you want to do next. So the brown bag gives our students a chance to explain their research and really show the context and the application of what they're doing to a very broad range of students and faculty.
It's interesting to be able to communicate to other scientists what your work is, and it forces you to learn how to talk about your subject so that not only experts in your field can understand it, but others can understand it as well, which I just believe is a good life skill.
To talk about your research in a way that anybody can understand it really is a valuable experience, and it's something that you don't get a lot of practice for except in these contexts. Because oftentimes you're giving a presentation to a classroom filled with people who know basically the same things that you do, but in a brown bag, you have to be able to explain and provide motivation for everything that you're working on and why it's important and why it's relevant to be studying.